Hello guys, we're doing a bit of a special editing stream. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I am desperate. Now, I think I already have quite a few videos up about it, and I will put up some more. We've done quite a few changes to the war in the Plaguelands, and we're working our way to more complex betrayals and all that fun stuff. So what that looks like is currently only Legion works for red and teal. But in the future, to make the game a little more interesting, add more variance into what happens and crazy things, there'll be some more betrayals. They will be designed, fine-tuned, balanced, etc. So we're starting first with Grey's Forsaken, and I won't go into the whole these betrayals will happen and all this crazy shit other than just showing off what I have on the command outpost cards, which are like what's next after Forsaken. So first we're doing Forsaken, and that's actually what we're doing in this video right now. We're about to do a simple version of Forsaken at the 1.8 patch. But in the future, there'll be like Argon Crusade, where if Alex dies or whatever the conditions are, yellow can break off, become more powerful, take purple with them, and then teal will be able to like go Scarlet Onslaught and whatever, all this crazy shit. We start with a Forsaken though. So what we're gonna do is it's gonna be like a 3-hour thing. So watch whatever you're interested in. It will be somewhat guided, but not super. Oh, Lord Minion. It will not be super structured, except the beginning here. These are. We have Lindsay Ravenson, who's retconned into being like hidden in the Scourge. The new heroes that will come with the Forsaken Betray when Lindsay gets 10, who is secretly Sylvanas. And then the new units, Rough Draft, which are like, regular melee unit, Forsaken Gold, Forsaken A-Bomb, regular Archer, stronger Archer, the casters, and then they'll have like elites and stuff. So these are the models and the basic layout. I'm trying to do this simple iteration of the Forsaken to roll out as like a last large change before taking a break because I've been editing so much. So this is what we're gonna do. I already took some time to think about how this is all gonna work and obviously get the heroes and the models. So we don't need to browse Hive Workshop for the models in this video. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes looking at shit. It's already done. This is what they're going to look like. They can be changed later. Sylvanas model, super sexy. Lillian model, super sexy. Nathanos, super sexy. Hero models, all that matters. So in a second here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually design the skill sets for everybody. We have 5 heroes, and Lindsay's already like kind of done. And then the elites, I guess, are the most significant skill sets. These units are not a super big priority to give unique abilities because, again, we're doing a simple version. They're just units. These are copy-pasted of the Tier 3 units, Tier 3 A-Bomb, Tier 3 Ghoul, yada, yada, yada. So, before I start doing this, because it'll basically be me sort of just being like, it'll have Q, and then going in and adding Q and all that stuff. I will explain the motivation. So I'll do a little bit of dev insights, the execution, all that stuff. So one, it's cool. That's most of it. Plaguelands, the fort math, as I mentioned, adds variance in what happens, and it's only a slight retcon of the lore. I'm here for anything that's like 70% lore accurate. Lindsay Ravenson was in Anderhall, in WoW, in Cataclysm, which is, obviously we're getting into Cataclysm lore. And she was secretly Sylvanas, and there was this whole battle for Anderhall. So we're just kind of taking it and retconning it a little bit. And taking the relevant friends, like Dark Ranger Velanera. I don't know if she was there. I forget. But I pulled her from a list. I think she might have been there. She was like Sylvanas' second in command or something. So yeah, they'll betray. They'll be the first new force outside of Legion. And one of the reasons I'm focusing on making a simple version of this path right now, is because we have a problem in the game, which I've identified to be somewhat persistent. Usually purple and brown are not going to leave, because they're pretty desirable colors. Usually red and orange are not going to leave. Again, pretty desirable colors. They might DC, that's another thing. But usually you're not putting noobs on those colors. And if you put a noob on brown, somebody else can just take them. They split up the heroes. So where you see noobs are often in the west or the east. And for now, whatever. You put noobs on the east. Nothing I can do if they leave. But in the west, it can be a pretty big problem to be 1v2. Because at least in the east, you have purple and brown to lean on, so it becomes 2v3. Right, which isn't as bad. And you have these bastions. So you're on the back foot now, but you also can hide in your fortress. And it's not a super big deal, I believe. But in the west, someone leaves and it's like kind of a big deal. Because it's super open. You have so many more units, I think. At least it feels like it, especially when you're playing hit and run and stuff. So if you're playing in the west and pink leaves, it's like, fuck, man. I hate playing two factions, especially in the west. So what we're going to do in the short term, temporary. In the long term, ideally, we have something called a solo path, which will be a way to solve this issue. If somebody leaves in the first 5 minutes, whether they DC or whatever, either gray, pink, blue, dark green, teal, yellow, green, or light blue, gets a buff. And now they can more reasonably 1v2. And part of the appeal of the solo path, I think, is if somebody leaves, I'll do it. I'll play pink. But I'm not stoked to do it. But if you make a solo path, right, like you basically make the faction like very powerful. And that could be cool. There's this thing in Azeroth Wars, they have solo paths. Someone leaves, you power up. And there are some players who actually enjoy closing a slot and just playing the solo path. Like they don't even have anybody to begin with. They just instantly solo path. That's how viable it is. So I'm not saying that the solo paths are going to be designed to intentionally be used all the time, but it could allow a game to start where somebody has beef. We're also hosting lobby here. Someone has beef. They want a 1v1. They don't want a 1v1 in strat. Or even it's late and you have 5 people on each side, and it's like, man, these last 2 people are hard to fill. Whatever, let's close pink and blue, and I'm going to play dark green Soul Path and gray Soul Path, and we're just going to 1v1. So that's the long-term motivation. I think that the solo paths are going to... I don't even have a good concept for how to do it yet, other than just ideas, right? Like, you can give them level buffs, like, I don't know, give them, like, you probably don't want to give them extra heroes, because the whole thing is, like, you want to be able to fight 1v2 with the same setup, but you're stronger. So I don't know what it is. Some ideas that were floated were, like, maybe grabbing one of the heroes from the lever, or, you know, units being upgraded, having a unique spawn, whatever. So, like, maybe you have a spawn that's stronger, and all your spawns are replaced with units that are stronger. And now you can 1v2. So, we're not going to do that today. At least we're not going to design the solo path for Gray necessarily. But what we are going to do is we're going to design the Betrayal for Gray. And in the short term, until we get these solo path concepts fleshed out, which could take a long time, we're going to test it out with the following dynamic. Well, normally you have Lindsay Ravenson. She gets level 10, just like Legion. And you can now betray. Sick. Just like Legion, right? And in the future, I think Blues plan to go Forsaken, whatever. But let's say that Pink leaves in the first 5 minutes. Why not just let Gray go Forsaken? Because it's basically a... Yeah, I know Lindsay's for Sylvanas. Eat my fucking dick. It's basically a power-up, right? And, you know, it doesn't really work lore-wise. The Forsaken would never be allied to the Scourge, but just say, fuck it, they can go Forsaken. They get the stronger units. They can probably 1v2 now. And they just stay allied to the Scourge, and you just disable Pink. So that's what we're going to try. It's obviously not, like, lore accurate, but it could be a interesting test. And in the future, it could be like the solo path is to betray, and then 20 minutes in, you can decide to rejoin. So maybe that's the solution. Your guy leaves, you go Forsaken, you betray everybody, right? Because it doesn't matter, you're not supposed to be near them anyway. And then at the 20-minute mark, you have the option to rejoin. That could be it. Like, if you didn't want to actually play Forsaken out, but maybe it's going really well for you, you can just, it'll just swap your heroes out at the same level. So Nathanos becomes the Cauldron Lord again. And anyway, I'm not going to talk too much more about all that. I think I went through it all because I want to finish this tonight. It is now 2 a.m. at the time of my speaking. We probably won't be able to fill a lobby, but who knows? Maybe they're still going. Yeah, I think that's everything. So, all right, now last little preface to just turning on the classical music and doing shit. This is how it's gonna work tonight. First up for this patch, standard Betray level 10, and you get these heroes, which are, so Lindsay becomes replaced with Sylvanas, Dark Ranger Velenara, and the other heroes just get removed. Verametharos, pronunciation, Lillian Voss. So you get 5 heroes. Should be fine as long as the heroes are like Legion level strong. And then your Andor Hall spawn is swapped with Forsaken spawn, and everything else stays the same. Just for the sake of, like, these don't spawn that much anyway. We don't really need to replace every spawn in the short term for our simple Forsaken, just because it'll take maybe 45 minutes to copy paste, switch units. So we're gonna do one spawn. So you betray, your Ender Hall spawn is swapped with our new units, and then if Lindsay gets 12, the standard thing that happens with we're in the Plaguelands for Legion is you get 10. Now you can betray, right? You get 12. Oops. You get 12. You know, the Holy Light has granted Satan's soul the power to return his body, whatever. Now you can no longer go Legion. But you get a power up. So that's always been the deal. Same thing for Barian. You go 10, you can now go Legion. You go 11 to 12. You get more dudes. Sick. Awesome. So you actually get rewarded for staying in the Alliance, keeping the dude alive, whatever. So the Sylvanas, Lindsay Ravenson, level 12 will be the Herald of Kel'Thuzad, which will be changed to be stronger. Where is this nerd? Herald of Kel'Thuzad will have discovered Sylvanas' plot and banished her from the Ender Hall Scourge. We're gonna give him a flame strike. So yeah, and then the last thing that I didn't mention, or I didn't flesh out, at least I definitely mentioned it, was if Pink leaves in the first 5 minutes, you can just instantly go Forsaken, and then you don't betray your team because whatever, and then all the Pink shit gets disabled and no longer spawns, and all the units get removed and the heroes get removed. And then Gray should hypothetically be able to 1v2. And they're rewarded for having a lever. So it's like, oh, sick, I get to play Forsaken in the early game. That could be fun. Fuck yeah. And then obviously after the 5-minute mark, it's like, well, the game started. If somebody leaves at the 7-minute mark, then you've probably just lost really quickly. You haven't, you don't deserve that. Yeah, let's see. What else? I think that's it before we start doing all this. Oh, yeah, I'll explain the motivation if it wasn't already clear. And if I said it again, apologies. But as a last note, this allows the host to put a noob on Pink, which is fine. Pink is, I think, reasonable for a new player. And maybe put a less experienced player on blue or dark green, so you don't have 2 pros versus 2 pros. Or 2 pros versus a pro and a noob. And then if that new player leaves in the first minute, which is, you never know. You don't want to gatekeep. You don't want to, yeah, you can have BDSM role. We should already have a BDSM role, TBH. BDSM master role. Okay, we might have to negotiate there. So let me finish that thought. And that's just a new resource for a host to at least manage, because you're usually not going to have more than 2 new players, right? It's kind of uncommon for communities like this, so it opens up the desire for a player who's good at the game to play Gray. Be like, all right, we're gonna put the noob on Pink. You want to play Gray? And somebody's like, hell yeah, I want to be like possibly Forsaken in the first fucking minute. I'm a masochist. I love 1v2ing, which is a real thing. And you mitigate a lot of risk in lobbies where you just don't know if the person's gonna leave, or they might even give it a shot, and then 3 minutes in, They're not just leaving in the first 30 seconds. They're like, fuck this, fuck you, and they leave. Yeah, and yeah, again, it'll be test for the soul path, yada, yada, yada. So let's do it. So this is when it starts to become unstructured. Again, if you're still listening, much love. Please subscribe. I'm desperate. Oh, also join the Discord. Check out the new patch, etc. Where are all my dudes at? This is what we have to do. One, we have to adjust gray, the initial situation of gray. I added Lindsay Ravenson, and I got some feedback that gray has too many heroes. 6, which is a lot of heroes, but I like playing with 6 heroes on gray. I'm fine with that. But I also think that you can just make Lindsay more complex, and then 4 heroes is totally fine. So the first thing we do is remove Razark and Soul Wraith, and key set goes to Malvinius, and make Lindsay cooler, which gives her more survivability and all that fun stuff. Right? Second thing is just, I guess, the general trigger setup for betraying, which we'll do last, because it's the least interesting and the most tedious. And you could take some shortcuts, more so than the other stuff, sometimes. And that's just the, you know, you type, you know, once you get level 10, this opens up and you can actually initiate the betrayal, but where that becomes sort of, I guess, the betrayal itself in the normal format is pretty simple. You know, hit level 10, do the same thing you do for Legion, swap out the heroes, easy clap. Level 12, you know, the same thing, disable it, send the hero, easy clap. And then, but I guess the more, it shouldn't be that complex, but the next thing would just be Pink leaves in the first 5 minutes. Start up your Forsaken, like initiate the Forsaken path for Gray. But it might be a little more nuanced how much power to give Gray in the beginning. So obviously, you know, you want to swap, you're going to swap out the heroes probably at the same level, and it might just be fine just to swap out the heroes and the spawn, but maybe you want to make like 20 units or something like that, or replace units, whatever. And then the next thing to do from there is, I guess part of that is disabling Pink, which is fine. And lastly, we do the units, which is what we're going to start with, even though I said it last. So that's fleshing out the heroes and the units' abilities. And before we do that, last little tidbit, 25 minutes into my monologue, this is the simple version, so we're going to take shortcuts, and later it'll be fleshed out. All right, yo. Brown. Yeah, so now we're gonna just be freeform, and this is gonna go for a couple hours. I think Brown's path, well, once Forsaken's done, what I'm thinking is I guess this is the path for the map into January. One, I gotta finish adding paths for everybody. So that's, at this point, that's, and then I gotta add, I gotta continue to flesh out brown and purple slowly, but they're fine. But I gotta add paths for dark green and green and light blue and gray, which isn't bad or hard. And then I got to transfer the events over to everybody. And the brown betrayal path will not start until Forsaken is reasonably done. It doesn't need like crazy events, but it's just, it works properly, all that stuff. And then from there, yeah, we're doing Forsaken tonight, no worries. From there, I did realize that this, at first I was gonna, so I'm gonna add 2 factions to the game. I was gonna make it 7v7 because we can just add 2 hero squads. And I was gonna add like mad cool hero squads too. I was gonna add the Sand Lane and Stormwind motherfuckers just because it's like, it's dope. You can do it. It's only a slight retcon. But I'm actually gonna do that after the Betrayals because I realized how important the Betrayals are. Just it's kind of a continuation of that balance thing, where this is like LTF, for instance, in the right LTF game or LTA. It's fine to have a couple noobs somewhere. You just fucking betray them. Whatever. Let's go Twilight Hammer Clan. My orange is a fucking Pepega, or you know, that, this, and that. So the way what'll happen is we'll finish Forsaken, and then these paths will all be done simultaneously, which is Blue's gonna be able to go Forsaken simple version first, but that's not as much of a focus as the Argent Crusade Betrayal will start, which will be, the initial conditions will be a little complicated to properly hash out. Is it the Alexandros death? Like, how lore friendly are we? But the Argent Crusade is actually very important for the same reason that I'm talking about, which is let's say teal leaves, whatever. So you have a inverse. So then that's when brown gets added. Brown's actually one of the easiest parts of that whole situation. It's yellow's the most complicated one because it's like, what do you do with all the heroes and all that stuff? So yellow's going to get Argent Crusade, and then brown's going to be able to join it in a very nuanced situation. And then purple is automatically going to be part of it and not really get buffed. Blue's going to be the ultimate betrayal faction. They'll be able to go the Argent Crusade. They'll be able to go fucking Forsaken. And then another aspect of the Argent Crusade is you go Argent Crusade, right? Teal can now go Scarlet Onslaught. And dark green will have their own Scarlet situation. So here's the list of betrayals in the final form in spring. Balance adjusted because we're in video format and all that fun stuff. We'll go from the top. Red, Legion. Red's strong as it is. Orange, Legion. This comes way later because it's a little complicated and not super important. But if orange conquers red, they'll be able to go Legion. So if red doesn't go Legion, orange conquers Legion. Red. Orange basically just takes over red's Legion and loses some people. So they lose like whatever, this and that. Because there is actually some context for that being reasonable. I think you can do Atiesh and stuff. But I'm not going to get into that too much. We'll skip ahead. Teal, Scarlet Onslaught, or Legion. So Scarlet Onslaught is like the Argent Crusade, Betray, Scarlet Onslaught, Power Up. So that's also, let's say yellow leaves. Well, we have our solo path situation, maybe. Or Betrayal. Fuck it. Let's, like, if yellow leaves, Argent Crusade, like, who cares, right? Because it's mostly yellow based. So you just instantly knock out yellow who's already gone or he's dead. And it doesn't affect anyone else. You can, like, they can't even start the Argent Crusade. So you kick yellow who's already dead out of the alliance. Scarlet Onslaught, Legion. And by the way, if you go one path, you cannot go the other path. So you go Scarlet Onslaught, you're now locked in there. And they'll pull heroes from whatever, Northrend, who cares. Light blue, Legion. So the same way orange can conquer red, light blue can actually conquer teal and go Legion. And this will be more like, it's not like light blue's heroes are going to be like legionized, maybe one or two. It's literally going to be like these heroes die, and canonically light blue has like captured them, and they're actually demons, so they didn't actually die, whatever. So light blue conquers teal, they can go Legion. And then the reason for this, it's not just for the sake of Betrayals. It was my first idea for Betrayals, actually, before any of this other bullshit. Because the problem is red can go Legion, teal can go Legion. You can only fuck over the Scarlet Crusade. So what if only red and light blue could go Legion, or only orange and teal can go Legion? So if whoever gets Legion first, red or teal, they lock out the other person. So teal goes Legion, red's like, all right, I'll never be able to go Legion now, for the sake of balance. Red goes Legion, teal can no longer go Legion. And the only way the Legion can get someone who's not dark green or pink, maybe, and then dark green and pink might have the same situation. Dark green will no. Let's get back to that later. So then it's like either red and light blue, or orange and teal. Brown, probably just the Argent Crusade, because, you know, I mean, the forces will basically be Forsaken Legion, Scarlet Crusade, Argent Crusade. Can't make it any crazier than that. Light blue, obviously just Legion, as we covered. I think green is going to be locked to the Scourge. I just don't see any situation where lore-wise you can turn the spiders into anything but the Scourge. And for the most part, orange will be locked to the Scourge. Right? Like, they could go Legion, but I think that's not good. It's probably going to be one of the least common Betrayals, other than for balance. Because you lose the Lich King. Why would you want to do that? So we could see some wacky shit where if orange betrays, it's like, well, green is the only like, memes aside, green is the only consistent force of the Scourge. So, it might be if orange goes Legion, the Lich King actually goes to fucking green. So it's just a huge meme. So green, no Betrayals, and maybe what we'll see is if orange or teal betrays to Legion, green actually gets powered up. Whatever, can't really go into that. Brown, just Argent Crusade, night dude. Yellow, just Argent Crusade. Purple, no Betrayals. They just join the Argent Crusade. They can't even start it. And then if they do Scarlet Onslaught or Argent Crusade, like, they're forced into Argent Crusade, because this is already like these guys were pretty solidly Argent Crusade, and them being on Scarlet Crusade is just like gameplay over lore. If you're going pure lore, I mean, they came after the Scarlet Crusade. They came in Kata, and no decent Crusader would accept a Worgen into their ranks. So we're retconning a little bit. Yeah, again, light blue, just Legion. Did teal, did yellow. Gray, Forsaken. Gray will be the main Forsaken starter, whereas yellow is the Argent Crusade starter. Dark green, Legion. And they'll have a Scarlet power-up too. So I think dark green Scarlet power-up will actually be tied to blue. So if blue goes anything, dark green gets powered up, but not anywhere else. But obviously, if this thing happens with this, the Crusade, it becomes teal, blue, dark green, red to start. And then red can still betray. Teal can choose Legion or Onslaught. Gray's Forsaken. Pink will probably... I don't know what to do with pink. We're gonna leave a little red marker there. We could do Legion for pink. Legion's just OP, right? And it could be like either dark green or pink gets to go Legion, but not both. But we'll say maybe Legion. And then the final interesting guy is blue, who will basically be have the most betrayals, just because we can do it, and it works for balance well. They'll be able to stay at Scarlet. I guess the most paths, not the most betrayals. I think that's true, yeah. Yeah, they have the most paths out of everybody. So they can stay in Scarlet the whole time. Nothing changes. If they get Tyrion, which is Talon 10, so not a common thing, they get to join the Argon Crusade. Just because, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe you'd want to do that. And if Tyrion's there, like, whatever, why not? But I think maybe they don't have to. Like, Tyrion, you know. I think, though, that probably what we'd have to do, just because of how lore works, is if Tyrion arrives, Argon Crusade is going, then blue has like 3 minutes to join the Argon Crusade. Otherwise, Tyrion leaves to yellow, and then blue gets somebody else cool in his place, so that blue doesn't like have to go yellow to keep Tyrion. They still get somebody powerful, but he gets kicked out. That's actually lore. He gets kicked out for helping E-Trig. And then blue will be able to go Forsaken. The reason blue will be able to go Forsaken is just because, like, just so that the only Forsaken force isn't gray. And the way that'll work eventually, and this is just draft 1, is Isilin 10 blue, like, corrupts Hearthglen, and it's the least smooth transition other than orange, because there's nobody on blue who like was in the Forsaken. It's just more of like a, okay, now we're Forsaken, and like these guys all just died, right? Something like that. Like, oh, like, and then the way that, and then in the future they'll actually take over the Undercity. So if blue goes Forsaken in the future, it's like they become the Undercity, which will be added here, and get all the heroes, and then blue goes to like dark green or whatever, right? And the heroes get split up. But to start, no Undercity, so this will be corrupted by the Legion. And that gives the Forsaken Force the ability to actually take over the West and move out. And then the way it'll be split up is Sylvanas is the main Forsaken Force, which we're doing right now. And then actually BladeMasterRUSH will go to blue, and he'll be the second force. So it'll be like Sylvanas and her Forsaken Rangers and Lillian. And then blue will be the Apothecary dudes. So Putris, BladeMasterRUSH, and we're going to do Undead Garithos for the memes. So the retcon, the alt lore, BladeMasterRUSH alt lore, is Garithos wasn't actually torn to shreds. He was just killed and risen by BladeMasterRUSH or whatever, just for Garithos Pog memes. Alt lore headcanon. So then that's the hero squad is Putris, BladeMasterRUSH, Garethos memes and Farinell and any other nerds from the Undercity. So that works out pretty well because obviously all those people are Undercity people, and then when we have the Undercity, the dynamic will change to Blue needs to like get 10, and then like Sylvanas needs to conquer the Undercity and then offer the pack to Blue. So that's the eventual goal. And then like Talon would go to dark green, and Tyrion to yellow, and Yssilin to dark green, and all that stuff. And then that leads us to that is the whole story. It really, we can't do any more betrayals besides Blue going Legion from Forsaken 5-head, because Putris, huge lore thing. I think Putris and Vermithras. I might get this a little wrong, but it's ballpark there. They do eventually betray. It's in LTA. They betray Sylvanas, actually. Vermithras betrays Legion. Is like, oh, I'm actually Forsaken. And then once they got the Undercity, when they were in Northrend, they developed a super plague, and then Putris and Vermithras actually betrayed the Forsaken, and that's where the battle for Undercity happens, which comes later, and where all this lore is retconnable, 70% alt lore headcanon. So that's why Blue in the end game will be the most interesting pathwise, because they can join any force. They can stay Scarlet, they can join Forsaken, and then they could join Legion. So that was fun to go through. I've been tossing this around in my head. This is something I've been planning out for the past 2 weeks, and I think that we can't really do more than that. I think that's pretty much the hard limit on Betrayals, and once all of those are added and they all work, this game will be considered complete, as far as I'm concerned. Plaguelands the format, and then I gotta give credit where it's due, because we're in video format and we're monologuing anyway. I basically took a break from editing Warren the Plaguelands when the 24 player died down, which started September. So starting September, I got into other maps like LTA. I already played LTA a little bit and LTF a lot in the spring, but and BFME, but I basically played the following maps, and the intention wasn't as much to get inspiration as much as it just naturally happened. But all of these ideas and everything that's been added since I started editing again, I've thrown in like 200 hours, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel, yada yada yada. Thank you, much love. Is LTA. Let's start with LTA and LTF. LTF in terms of Betrayals, clearly. All this shit screams LTF, right? This is literally how LTF works. Now, I think there's a heavier lean to LTF in concept than there is LTA, because LTA is more locked, and LTF is like 6v6 in the beginning, whereas LTA is like locked free for all in the beginning already. But the difference between LTF and LTA is, besides the most ridiculous betrayals, like Dark Iron Dwarves, and even then, for the most part, you're never a solo like force. Whereas in LTA, the reason the game works, in my opinion, and what I love about it, and I actually prefer this to LTF so vastly, is besides the alliance, you're like max 2 players. So it's like a giant, I think there might be some situation where you can be 3, but it's like a giant 2v2v2 free for all. And so what happens is every force can snowball and be powerful. Whereas in LTF, if you're 1 of 4, you're never gonna fucking carry. No. I love LTF. Don't get me wrong, Logu. I've played LTF more than LTA. And let me just roll it back. The work that's been done on LTF in the past 6 months is one of the most impressive work done on any map. I play all these shit maps, all these fucking shit maps, this shit game, and I'm memeing. But you don't understand. Some maps do well on YouTube, and I play because they do well on YouTube. I don't like them that much. LTF, a little painful to play sometimes. Nobody betrays. However, credit where due. Excellent work. Since Marsh took back over, excellent work. From paths, betrayals, concepts. And I understand the crowd that prefers LTF over LTA, but I will call some of them children, so don't take offense. If you're watching this, you're probably not one of the children, because the children don't really watch my stream. Shout out my man Galdros. LTF is just the place, I can't get into this. Anywho, LTF, their inspiration. LTA, in terms of these betrayals, are limited to... So once you get down the betrayal path, right? You can't do like some neutral alliance where you stack 4 to become neutral alliance, or the Scourge can always end up having 4, right? All that stuff. But LTA, it's like a 2v2v2 free-for-all, so the second major inspiration out here from the macro maps perspective is, and I'm basically giving credit here and just talking for fun in the monologue, is, you know, these Forsaken and Legion paths can only have 2 people as a 2-3 people max. You can't have red and then it's like kind of balanced, right? So, you know, the Legion force will inevitably be these 2 people among the 4. And then blue can go Legion in some absurd scenario. And then like maybe dark green will be able to go Legion. And then Forsaken will only ever be 2. And like maybe often just 1. And then the Argon Crusade will basically be... I mean, it does have more LTF influence, but the idea that you can betray and actually carry a game is LTA inspired. Because in LTF, you can never really betray and carry a team. That's far... You still have to betray as a team. You usually betray into a team. Legion leaves, everyone goes the Illidari. Who's left? You know, you got the 3 people. Scourge, you know, Alliance stack, you know, dark green or pink or both go Scourge, and then you have 44. All that stuff, right? So that's... Oh, and then the final macro map is Azeroth Wars. Like, these are the maps that I've been playing since WitP, and at the same time. It's LTA, LTF, Azeroth Wars, BFME, Warhammer Tides of Chaos, and some things here and there, but those are the only ones that stuck. So where Azeroth Wars is beautiful is this whole path shit and the solo path that I'm talking about. So as I'm even mentioned explicitly, I've never played Glory of the Horde, so can't say it's inspired from Glory of the Horde, sorry. Literally never played it. Played it twice, so literally 0 influence. Like, if it had influence on something else or on this map in general, but sorry Glory of the Horde, sorry Panther, get the fuck out of my fucking... Get out of my motherfucker, yeah. Well, I'm sure Glory of the Horde is part of these concepts, right? I'm not going to get into that. We have a Glory of the Horde announcement coming December 24th, so if you are listening, be on the lookout for December 24th. All I'm going to say is Glory of the Horde. Kipo. All right, let me finish this up so I can edit. I'm on a beam right now. I'm in monologue form. Azeroth Wars, the whole path thing, which is already partially implemented, is straight from Azeroth Wars. This is just like, I think Azeroth Wars does it poorly, but literally, I did think it was a cool concept, but in Azeroth Wars, inevitably, one path is shit, and then two paths are okay, but there's usually one that's better, and I think they're removing it, so that just goes to show that it doesn't work. But Azeroth Wars, the solo path, oh my god, I mean, that's huge for Azeroth Wars and a huge problem here, so credit to Azeroth Wars and the paths and the solo paths, but it's a macro map, so everything else doesn't matter. And then the final two are more spawn-based, because it's BFME and Warhammer. So BFME, I just love the Fellowship, and I love the Nazgul as a concept. Literally, this is just WitP Fellowship, and this is attempt at WitP Nazgul, which will continue to become, as it is. And then I like BFME. I mean, BFME is just a fucking fantastic map. And a lot of what I've been doing, here's what's beautiful about BFME as a spawn-based map, and also Warhammer. Every faction is unique. So no faction plays like the other faction. Gray, blue, and they're mirrored. And so that's what, like, we've had this problem in WitP where people join lobby, they see just gray and pink, light blue and green, whatever. Oh, like those are the same faction. Oh, let me get into the auto mod one moment. So the motivation for making every faction unique to give people like one trick, like, oh, I can play this. Every faction has a unique play style. Like light blue and green are not just kind of like so similar that I don't give a fuck if I'm playing one or the other. Same with like teal and yellow, and we're pretty close to that occurring. I mean, it still exists here. These have always been unique. It still exists here a little bit, but we're getting there. And then what's last with BFME? I'd love to get the way units work closer to the BFME. I mean, it is almost a unique thing to WitP that you spawn too many units and they just end up being feed and stuff. But hopefully we can get closer to that. And then the map has become a lot more open, and it's been expanded. Same thing, BFME. And then my last shout out is to Warhammer Tides of Chaos, which is a great map. All I can say is this map will never be like Warhammer because they are just fundamentally different from the way heroes work to the way units work. But Warhammer is far more elegant and modern than what WitP was. And I know that Warhammer obviously is Panther map, Glory of the Horde, whatever, but this idea is straight from Warhammer, replacing the peasants with repair building. And then move all. And then I always loved how Warhammer becomes a hero ball at the end, and you actually have like fights between heroes. So part of making heroes stronger is a Warhammer situation. Just to start. And yeah, just love that. Oh yeah, and a lot of the abilities, I think we're going to add droppable items too. And then, I mean, this is already a thing in WitP, but this is something that doesn't exist and I want to add. What I realized keeps people playing Warhammer. Well, again, the unique factions are a thing, but that's also a thing in BFME. But there's like these really unique events that basically never happen, like Summon Nagash, and Sigmar. And I realized that people actually are like drawn into playing the map to get this unique event to happen, which literally never happens. They said it's happened only once. So we might see some more of those very uncommon events, because I never realized that there was some force that drives people to want this weird shit to happen. So there might be some shit with Atiesh, collecting the staff of Atiesh. Alright, I'm done there. I'm actually gonna make that a video and then do the real editing. So thanks for watching. This changed a lot over the course of the video. I drank like a whole Bang energy and took my meds and we balled out. So let's actually edit now.